Welcome everybody. Here we are in this open talk about Akashic Records, and in this talk I will share the most simple concepts through the experiences I have had through the Akashic Records. First I will introduce myself. Santiago Rafael from Argentina, and I attained mastery in Akashic Records after being hundreds of hours in the records. And before I used to channel, like for 6 years now, I channel, but not so consciously. Like I got things, but unconsciously. I was telling today my story how it started. Like I was really numb and dull, like numb and dull. Yes, and dumb a little bit. Literally zombie apocalypse. I was eating fast food 5 times a week. You can imagine obesity, arthritis, depression, addiction to video games, to alcohol, to smoke, working in politics, business administration for 8 years. So another me, like you can visualize. So in that moment, I started into spirituality when I saw at a hip hop jam. I was like going a hip hop jam because it was cool and that, and I saw a dancer that suddenly he did some movements, some effect that I had a synesthesia moment that I know now there's synesthesia, where I could listen because I saw a sound that before I could not listen. For me, that in that moment, that was magic. Like, what has just happened to me? It's like this guy just made a sound appear. So I got followed him and entered into dancing, and then more sensitive persons, and then spirituality, and then I got a session from one of the persons I met through dancing, and I started watching things inside myself, like with my eyes closed. And they were really rare things that I was watching, and also like it unlocked something in me. Third eye open, call it as you can say it. And I started watching things that I really didn't understand, like auras even with eyes open, or like beings or symbols or scenarios with my eyes closed. That's why I say like I've been channeling from 6 years, because I realized that I was into conversations in that time, but I wasn't aware of what was coming to me. So it was really maddening. I had like to in a moment it was survival, because it was like you think that you're losing it. Has it happened to you? Someone ever suspected that they're losing it? Yeah. Okay, so been there. So I had to get more resourceful to understand what was going on to me and what was happening, and I got into, whenever I see like a reference, a person that felt like guidance, like a beacon, I got fully into that person, and I've learned about like cellular memory. Cellular memory has helped me a lot. Then or more things that are here, like emotional intelligence, the coaching, the power of the world, NLP, through coaching. So that's a spectrum of personal development. You start realizing and having more aware of who you are, how you are behaving, and the consequences of it. So I had that, cellular memory, and also I had mentors of planetary activations that they knew about the chakras of the earth. I got into the Buddhism. I got into Taoism, the many religions that I was like meeting mentors for tea, for seeing how they live, reading a lot of Osho. Also Osho like was a thing that helped me intellectually, and just I realized that by understanding of what Osho said of the third degree philosophy I was immersing into how the person lived. So I learned so fast because I immersed in their life philosophy. That's third degree philosophy. We know we have our truth, right? The first degree philosophy, and I don't care about anybody else's truth because I already have mine. That's the first degree. Then the second is like, okay, we are going to check and try to convince each other by talking. And you see, that has a certain efficiency. And then the third degree I realized I was doing is like, okay, what do you do? I will go and do what you do for a while, so I see how it feels. So that's why I learned so fast. It's like I went, okay, what do you do? What's the protocol here? Okay. And that was a way how I was learning things. Then it intensified the thing because now I was more ready. So I started watching other beings. I realized that whenever I had to do a coaching session, and suddenly came more things that were not in the coaching program. You know, like in the coaching training, it was not there. So it felt like more like a mediumship. For example, once I went to a woman that had lost her child. He committed suicide, and she invited me to where he was there because she wanted me to rent there, and she told me like she had something that she wanted a replacement of something like that. And then I was needing a place and everything. So when I was there, I started feeling the child, his child, no, his son, moving my body. Like, why my body is moving if it's just by connecting with this guy. So I realized that there was a limit. It's like, in which moment I gave my will to move my body. So then I started learning more about limits that were useful. Otherwise, was like where I start and where I'm like taken by everything. So, well, then I had to learn like many laws and to communicate with beings. Understand that there are many beings there that we have to use our willpower to, okay, here I start, here, up to there. And then I got out of many, with this awareness, I got out of many things that were generating volatilization in myself. Like, I realized that when I was doing coachings in groups, I was like spread all over the place. Because I was like, or smoked, or something appeared on a person, I just like wanted to do that and I couldn't control it. So I started getting myself together, knowing that there are certain things like, for example, smoking marijuana is like, oh yes, open up a lot the heart, but makes holes in you, like makes hole in your aura. So I like really was opening the door from inside for other beings to. So I started a lot of the self-care, energetic self-care. When I was ready, then appeared my mentor in Akashic Records, Vladimir, and at the beginning I was already like feeling super buffed up, you know, like I was already like cellular memory coach and some therapy. I already had all my poof. And he was like really like, you know, like this, humble, okay, yes, interesting, Akashic Records, okay. But I already have. But it was like I think that I met him again, and yes, let's do it. Let's do it. And it was super revealing, the sessions. Like I couldn't believe how precise were the things that came and how useful the downloads that came through the session. That's when I learned what the Akashic Records are. And the Akashic Records are a way of channeling, defined way of channeling, where you, through a framework, you access different layers of the Akasha. We see it from the mind. We need to understand it as a records or a library, or even more accurate, the tree of life, because it's living knowledge. That's like we need to see it like a book or a bookshelf or a library for the mind to comprehend, and mostly appears like living knowledge because it's all there. It's like making like a zoom in the matter and the flows that make all is from where everything is created. That's why everything that has been ever created has made an imprint in the Akasha. Make sense? Also is known as ether, plasma, mana. We have been using through many other religions, civilizations. When you get in there, you see that this has been used as a source. We have been connecting through all our existence as humanity. That's for a general knowledge. Then I realized, when I did, after doing the session with Vladimir, I did 5 sessions in a year, because it's like you have to process whenever you get a download. You're like you need time to digest and to apply, because you have homework to do to get there. It's like you get homework to work, to keep unfolding. So every time I did something like that, it was like oof, like those steps that I usually explain this like being inside a labyrinth that you're trying to solve things. Like trying to solve things from the mind. I do the mind map, and then you realize that 3 months later you were like delusional. Like what did I wrote here? And all that stuff. But I do the analogy of being in that labyrinth of the mind, and when you open records, you connect with a council of guides, masters, and loved ones that are watching you from above, and you have the resource to ask, hey guys, throw me like the beacon, where's the most convenient direction? So you get assistance from above the labyrinth, so you get yourself out of there faster and with less effort and friction and
so you ask for what it should be convenient for you, or you asking a certain information you want to know?
That can happen in both ways.
Okay.
Because suddenly we don't know what we need to know.
Okay.
It's like sometimes we don't have the resource of knowing even what we want to know. So usually it comes like there's like an inbox message.
Okay. So you surrender to the message.
First, yes, it's like we open,
okay,
and it comes a message that they think that is relevant for you to know. So you get that first, and you have prepared the questions before.
Okay.
So it's like you also something like usually their questions are answered because they knew what you wanted to know.
Okay.
That happens usually. It's like they say, why did I even ask this? Because they knew and answered in certain ways that will go deeper. Sometimes even those messages we have layers. There are layers of interference inside this labyrinth, the ego, the mind. We have interference patterns that we cannot understand at the moment, but makes a crack. Then a week later, you read again, and I get it. The same as we talked when we started we're about to start the recording. So, well, that happened to me, and I started unfolding myself, and I started gaining a lot of peace, like, more peace of being, like sustained, not like the spike, like the placebo of the moment. It was like I woke up every day feeling peace. It was like it doesn't wear off, like. And when I was like more free in many of the things that I had on, like sometimes are really invisible, the strings. For example, I was like really thinking of the exes. Oh, what if she was, and what I messed up, all that stuff like keeps going. And should I write her to tell her like for Christmas, and like all that leaks that are invisible leaks of energy. And they told me, you haven't met her yet. It was like, imagine the peace of that, like the blank slate of having the certainty that you haven't met her yet, or him, her. It's like you can erase every person that you knew before, and you move differently in life. So that kind of effect had also in my business things, because I was asking, I was in a lot of projects, and I really realized that we're really attached on my ego. I was holding to them because it's like, just loosen them, guy. It was like, dude, loosen those, like detach from those. And they look like you like this, really compassionate, but they tell you like, just let go. So that's like the loving guidance, because as we talked yesterday in the healing vortex, they cannot take you away something that we do not let go. So that is super important. Like, okay, I give it there, and it's like, oof, and more space, more things can come your way. Well, after those effects that I have, I asked Vladimir, what should I be doing? Because I was already coaching in purpose. I was doing Ikigai workshops that were relatively short, like 6-8 hours. And he told me, I see you like giving booklets this size, like the size. He shows me like the booklets he uses to open records. And at the beginning I didn't understood, but then I asked, should I be initiated in opening records? And he says, yes, you can. And then I did it. And during the initiation was a super reconnected process. It was like, I understood what layers I was not passing well through or getting lost. Like, even though I was channeling at that time for 4 years, I didn't understood or was disrespectful in many of the guys. For the guys, for the guardians, because the soul also has an ego. So even though I was in astral plane, you still have some memories. So I was like, I'm already powerful. What are you? Let's try. Anubis? Okay, come. And I was like facing them. And one of the main lessons I have learned there was it's not about being more powerful. The more comparison is ego. One of the mechanisms of ego is comparison and trying to be more powerful or defeat the other. So they told me, we were just testing you, how you behave. We cannot die. So for example, that was one of the things that I've learned that humbled me immensely. Because it's like, you felt like, oh, I messed up, sorry, like, and you start redeeming yourself. And then they show me how I misused before, before letting me inside again, they showed me like, you see, you may not remember this, but this many times you kind of messed up by using the records wrong. Like you were using them from ego, and whenever you use them, you enter the records with ego, you cause yourself suffering, because I was watching silhouettes burning while they enter, and you cause suffering to others. I was like a shaman of a tribe, and I was like doing that, and I was like hurting others by misguiding through that, and that happens a lot. And that was one of the main messages they taught me to remember and to be a reminder of. So that's one of the reasons. The main purposes of this talk is to share some discernments and what we use as honorability codes to go through the layers respectfully, and what Vladimir mainly taught me, humbleness. Like humbleness. We sometimes forget that there are rules, that yes, we are infinite, we are God, we are God itself, but there are rules. Like there are rules, and they are really important, because whenever we go with respect of that, it's like learning how to play in those realms, and you get invited. It seems psychological, but it's like the psychological, how we develop psychological. But whenever we learn to play, we get invited to more games and better layers of information, because we pass through the lightness, the purity, and knowing the rules of those levels. So the main call to everyone who is channeling and intuitive working is keep going with the personal development. That's something that doesn't have end. It's like we always have to be reshaping ourselves to be the most optimal person. And that I learned a lot from the Tao, that they don't train traits or abilities. It's out of the how good I am, how successful, or what title or what status. They train in virtues, how virtuous you are. So that's a different focused approach to life, right? How everybody anybody listen about the training virtues or Taoism? Yes? And Tao also means the path, a way. It's more precise, way, because it's way in all its meanings. And I learned that is really useful to keep in balance between duality that we are here. So if we focusing in how we are behaving and training those spiritual muscles, the spiritual fitness, we will be open up more the possibilities for ourselves to playing more fun games in many other dimensions. So that's the main call for all the channelers, intuitive workers, the persons who are tuning into states from where you get things that are from above. Above has many layers. Could be like here, there. So it's a message from above. It has many layers. So that's the main call. Okay, in these 5 minutes, I will share how has it helped? How has it helped to persons I have opened records? I have the beauty of this is since I initiated, this is a personal development tool. It's the deepest personal development tool I have used. Because as coach, it's like, okay, let's do this. What do you think you need? And we are from the labyrinth to the labyrinth. like we're trying to solve things from the mind. Even the intuitive coaches, there's biases. If they don't have like really the humbleness to say okay, we are being like guided by something bigger than ourselves. We don't have the answers. If you don't have that humility, you are biased by something, some layer of yourself. So I was realizing that it's more deep, the opening of the records, than the coachings that I did. So I had to stop doing coaching because of the effects of the openings of the records. It was like, why would I coach if way wiser beings that know that person deeply can coach him? Like, makes sense, right? So it was so fun because I also learned from that ongoing conversation. It's like there was a person that, yes, last year, that it's counterintuitive, but it appeared like a unicorn. And I asked like what she's going to tell me. I'm drawing a unicorn to her. Like this is a professional service of, like.
Did you paint it with colors at least?
No. That time at that time I didn't have colors, but then they told me like, go, dude, put more effort in the drawings. You need to get more beautiful drawings. So I got the unicorn, and it was like in a condition like I can't share that much of the reading, but it was like, okay, do I tell her this? Yes, this is what she, okay. This unicorn is here, and she said like, wow, that's shocked. She was shocked because when she was little, there were like 100 gifts for Christmas, and the only one who got a unicorn was her, and she felt so special by that. She felt like a unicorn. So that was like something that I wouldn't know, and if I put my layers, my interference patterns there, I would have stolen the message for her, and that happens a lot. So that's what we do when we train the initiations, not interfering with our ego, because otherwise we are stealing the treasure there's for them. And that's a lot of training, awareness all the time of what we thinking, respect for the permissions. Is like, and there are many dishonorability codes helps us in not forgetting all these values that make the information go and flow through. So that's one of the experiences. Yes, the next experience I will share. Yes, the other one that there's another video, is the one of the Despacito, that I had to draw a turtle. And there's these things of energy body that sometimes we are used to, and they tell, hey, you're like taking a lot of load here, because I feel it in my body when I channel. It's like suddenly I open the record and it's like boom, that I feel like going to the floor, and I had to like really stay in the floor for a while to empathize really with what the person is loading, is being loaded. And then I figure out that it's not the way the person is pushing. It's like she felt defeated because of pushing upwards and the load was too much. And then I asked, okay, what's the way out of here? Crawl a little bit that way, so you can do like that. And it's a moment that if you are like trapped in the situation, you cannot see the way out. But it was like, move like this, twist, and you will see how it falls. Like you do like a Aikido with the weight. So that brought her like hope again. Because it was like, I know that I cannot push upwards. So how can I lift myself? if I have no more strength and I have this huge weight, it's like I'm beaten. No, you can move like that and get out of it. And she got like a lot of ancestral load out of care, and then she could stand better towards everybody that she was there. Otherwise, she was at the feet of everyone. That's one of the things that happen that we don't see, because there are like ways that the soul got locked. So that's a really gratifying, a really fulfilling job to be doing, because I learned a lot of these phenomena, and I also know that every person that comes has a message that I learn from. So that's why when I do this, I know that I am learning from myself. Even that I don't think much of me, because I don't open for myself that much the records, except when I like really need guidance. But when we open for others, we always have to open ours. So they are like sending me persons for me to open my records and for them to insert message to me, because they know that I react more because of others. So I use this as a personal development tool while I help others, and I develop myself too. So that's my way of being and feeling in purpose and happy with myself. And that's what I wanted to share today with you in this session that I talked. Now we can go to the Q&A. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the wisdom.